And we're back in the room once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once more to the Caiman Show. Joining me today on The Gift That Keeps On Giving, which is the Caiman Show. I have a treat for you. This gentleman has a storied career as an actor, TV radio presenter. You've seen him on the telly. You've heard him on the radio. Now he's here for you to see and hear on the Caiman Show. Give it up for my friend, now yours as well, Mr. Mark Curry. Welcome to the show, good sir. How are you?
You're talking about me. Somebody else walked in.
It's all about you, good sir. This is your time. How are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Caiman. How are you doing? All right. We both got the mugs. We won't say what's in them, but
absolutely. Cheers.
It's quite a large one. It's quite a large one.
Definitely. Mine's a double.
There you go. There you go.
Brilliant stuff, mate. So how have you been? What's been going on in the world? Obviously, it's been a testing time the last year and a half, 18 months. What's new and exciting?
Yeah, it has been a testing time for performers, but luckily, I've just finished a play actually on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, down at this fantastic theatre called The Mill at Sonning, which, if anybody's heard of Sonning, Sonning is a beautiful village on the river near Reading and Henley. And this theatre is an 18th century flour mill, converted flour mill.
Oh, nice.
And you go for dinner first or lunch if you see the matinee. And it's all beans and Hessian sacks and the water wheel in the bar and beautiful views down the river. And then you walk through to this 220-seater auditorium and you watch a show.
Fantastic.
And they've been going for years. And what's wonderful about it is that they're completely self-supporting. They make all the sets, they make all their own costumes. They don't get any sponsorship or government help in any way. I think they've had a bit of a grant in the last few weeks because of what's been happening.
Of course, yeah.
But it's real top quality stuff. And I've done a few plays there, and I've just done quite an exhausting comedy.
What was it called?
It was called 2 into 1.
2 into 1, yeah?
2 into 1.
Excellent stuff. What's the gist of it?
Well, the gist of it, the naughty goings on of a Conservative MP, actually.
Oh, right. Oh, right. Oh, anyone in particular, or do we draw our own conclusions?
Well, no. I mean, it was written in the 80s when, obviously, I think Thatcher was still on the throne then.
Yeah, she would have been. Yeah.
But we've managed to, or Ray Cooney, who's still alive. For people who remember Ray Cooney, he's in his 80s, and he is just the master at farce, really. And we updated it, so all the names that were in the original 80s, we've now been able to talk about. I mean, nothing slanderous, but we've been able to bring members of Parliament into it, like Boris, obviously, and his wife Carrie, and Priti Patel, and all that, and Matt Hancock is mentioned, and of course, it got such a big laugh. But
I can imagine
it just brought it up to date.
Yeah.
So people, when they started to watch it, thought, "Oh, this is not just some 1980s farce. This is about now."
Yeah, and they could relate to it in their own little way then, I suppose.
Yeah, and it was just great. I mean, it's incredible to hear 200 people really laughing, and you have to wait. You have to pause for a good couple of minutes while they stop. That is just fantastic. There are so few plays where that happens.
Yeah.
But it does happen with Ray Cooney stuff, particularly there at the Mill at Sonning. It's one of the few places that you can still do those plays. And but it's fast, it's exhausting, it's non-stop. There are doors slamming, you're racing up. Your timing's got to be perfect. You've got to know the script backwards, sideways, inside out. And it's a real brain.
I can imagine.
Frazzle, So when we finished on Saturday night, as sad as we were to say goodbye to each other, because you're like a family for that amount of time. Yeah,
definitely.
We all sort of went, okay, it's over. We can move on.
Get to the bar.
Definitely.
You mentioned the laughter. 200 people laugh with you. They say laughter is contagious, right? Do you ever find yourself just wanted to break character and laugh along with them? How difficult is that?
Oh, very difficult. And we did a lot in this. We did, because I don't think there was ever a perfect show. Yeah. Because it's just so tightly written and so intricate and quite difficult to learn. And you're in the middle of it, and just something would go wrong. 9 characters in this fast-moving show. There's no way that it can all go. And I mean, I remember the first couple of nights, I'm standing behind the door, one of the doors, waiting to go on, and I'm thinking to myself, I know I've got to go on through this door, but I've got no idea what happens when I walk through it.
Oh, God.
That's how difficult it was.
Talk about pressure.
Oh my gosh. And the more you get to know each other, there's a sort of twinkle in the eye that you've actually got to like each other for that to happen.
Yeah.
Luckily, this cast got on really well. And one of the guys in it was an actor called Stephen Pinder, who people might remember as Max in Brookside all those years ago.
Of course I do. Yeah, I remember Stephen, of course, yeah.
And he's got really twinkly eyes.
Yeah.
And he's naughty, anything that happens, he just he'll make the most of it. And he kind of looks at you with these big blue eyes and sets you off. But also because you're so close to the audience at the Mill, you can hear them and you can see them. I mean, one night, for instance, we had champagne on stage, not real champagne, but fizz, proper, it looked like proper fizz in flutes, champagne flutes. And at the end of the first act, a guy gets up from the audience, walks on stage and just helps himself. He just poured a bit of the went and sat back down. He was disappointed when he took a taste.
I bet he was, yeah.
But the stage crew had to race into the audience and say, "Excuse me, sir, but the actors need to use that." He said, "No, I just noticed that you hadn't gone through the whole bottle." I thought, "What's
a cheeky little sod." Fair play to him though.
It's just incredible, and people they'll talk to each other because they think they're watching the telly,
Yeah.
Or they fall asleep sometimes because they've had their lunch or their dinner.
That's it. Yeah. So, the after meal lull. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've all been there.
Yeah, definitely. So you can't beat live theatre. It's excellent.
That's brilliant. No, I've done a bit myself as well, a little bit. The last thing I did was a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. I believe Dr. Grimwig is the character in Oliver. So,
right.
Yeah. Just a short piece because I hadn't done anything prior to that since before school. Unless we count wrestling, a bit of theatre in wrestling sometimes,
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's good. And like you say, you're with them for like, I don't know, through rehearsals, you're all together. You do become like a tight unit, a tight knit family, and then you do the 3 or 4 performances or however many you're doing. And yeah, I'll be honest, you mentioned that sigh of relief when it's all done, and then you go to the bar. But the day after, I was like, Oliver as well. I bonded with all these kids and that as well because I'm a childish sod, right, myself. I was winding them up and everything. I'm like, I'm never going to see any of these guys again now. You know what I mean? There's a bit of depression as well. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and also this one meant a lot because for all of us, it was the first time back on stage in nearly 2 years. I last did a play which closed in January or February 2020. So that's well over a year. And we've all done a little bit of telly in that time and other things. But there was a moment when we all thought, will we ever get on stage again? Will these theatres, especially small theatres like the Mill at Sonning, we were thinking, will this theatre survive? So I used to make a speech every night after the show, actually thanking the audience for supporting us. Because certainly when we started back in August, some people were still a little bit reticent about, should we wear masks? Is it going to be safe? So the fact that people were willing to come out and take that chance, we really appreciated it. It's just been really strange times, but I do feel now everything's up and running and we just shown us, Caiman, how much we miss theatre, I think.
Absolutely, definitely. Like you say, it was a worry for a while, wasn't it? I paint as well, all right? I painted a picture in relation to it. Basically, it was a hangman's noose and the 2 theatre curtains around the noose. And it just represented the noose around the head of theatre, and there was no escape at that time. Getting a little deep now, I know, but
it's true. It's true.
It is. There was no escape at that time for it, and it was just like there was a noose around the head of theatre and performance in general, and no one knew what the future was, So,
and for a lot of young actors who haven't been around for long, they've just trained or it's the first couple of years, they've got no financial security. They couldn't get the grants from the government because they hadn't qualified, because they hadn't paid the tax or the due tax. It was very tricky for them. A lot of young actors fell through the space there, and they had to take other jobs. Actors are very adaptable. So, but once it was back on again, there was just this joy, absolute joy from all of us. I mean, the first day of rehearsal, we had to meet in the car park. We couldn't go inside because we hadn't been tested. We had to take a test every day. But it was like this party in the car park, but none of us could actually hold each other. It was just surreal.
That's it. I get it. It's very similar with the wrestling as well. Obviously, we all have to get tested and everything before we step in the ring now. But for ages and ages and ages. It's like, I think, well, it was obviously about a year and a half, maybe longer. No one had done anything. No one could do anything. No one could see each other. And with wrestling as well, it's a little harder. You can't have a socially distanced wrestling match either, you know, whereas in performance,
it's blood, sweat and tears.
Exactly. That's it. You lock up, you lock in, and you take each other down, you know? So,
well, it sounds a bit like our play, actually.
Not too different at all, Mark. Not too different at all. But yeah, so you've been keeping busy again now, so that's great. But let's take a little step back in time from the now to the then, if we can, for a while. We like nostalgia on this show. As mentioned earlier on, previously we've had your old pal Cheryl Baker on. Oh. You did get a mention.
Did I?
You did, yeah. We'll come to that in a bit. Let's go through it piece by piece and see how we fix the time. But first of all, I guess, if you're game, if you can just tell us where it all began for you, really. How, where, when, and why did you decide to break into showbiz, and how did it come about?
I was just one of those kids who loved performing, loved entertainment, would watch television, anything that had any dancing in it or singing in it or anything, really. I was just hooked on that. And my mum got to know somebody who ran the pub in the village of West Yorkshire.
Always comes down to a pub, doesn't it?
Always comes down to a pub. And this pub was in a mining village in West Yorkshire called Allerton Bywater. And we moved there. My brother, Carl, my sister, Dawn, my mum, and me, we moved there. My dad had died. We were living in I was actually born in Staffordshire, and my dad died at 5. And we all moved over to Allerton Bywater because my mum was one of 16. And she wanted to be with her brothers and sisters, obviously. She used to go to the local pub, which was run by a showbiz couple called Renee and Sid.
Okay.
And they had no kids. And when my brother and sister, who were older than me, couldn't look after me, I used to go over and sort of sit in the sitting room with the pub. Except I didn't. I used to sneak through and watch this woman on stage. She was called Renee, and her husband was called Sid, and he played jazz and she sang and told jokes.
Yeah.
And I used to watch her, and she was there in the sequins and the earrings and the eyelashes, and to me, it was just unbelievable. And the lights on the little stage.
Yeah. How old were you this time?
I'm about 7. I was about 7. Yeah, 6 or 7 years old. And she kind of spotted me watching her. And she just became like a second mum to me, because my mum used to talk to her and say, look, I don't know where he's come from. You know, he is the freak of the family. He really is. Because there's no showbiz in the family. You've got to do something with him. So she taught me a couple of songs and stuff. And it was quite musical. And there was a show on television then called Junior Showtime, which was a kids' variety show.
Okay.
Made by Yorkshire Television, which had just opened in Leeds. But it was a network show, kids' variety show. And she got me one audition for one programme.
Awesome.
And I ended up doing it for 6 years.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it was just lucky that they wanted local kids. They wanted regular kids who could learn scripts and could dance a bit and sing a bit. And it was just fantastic training for me. And it was dress-up time. It literally was. You'd get to the studio, you'd be given a costume, you'd go on set, you'd do it. You had to be professional. We had to be disciplined.
Yeah.
But a lot of the kids who were on Junior Showtime went on to have professional careers. You know, Bonnie Langford.
Yeah, so I was going to say you worked with Bonnie back in the day, yeah.
Yeah.
In the early days, the very early days.
We did a TV pantomime together.
Oh, no, you didn't. I had to, sorry, mate. I do it every time.
Got you then. Who else was in it? Lena Zavaroni was in it. Joe Longthorne was in it. Even apparently appeared on Junior Showtime.
Who's that? Sorry?
Lisa Stansfield.
Right. Stansfield. Sorry, we had a little pause then, a little interference. Oh, wow. Excellent.
Yeah. So it was quite a showcase for kids. So that just took me right through to being 14, 15. And I just carried on. I did Bugsy Malone when I was still at school.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Bugsy. That was what I was leading on to next as it goes. You'd almost think we rehearsed this. We haven't, I assure you. But yeah, you had a part in Bugsy Malone. Classic movie, absolute classic. Yeah. Was it a lead on from this then that you got the part in Bugsy Malone, or how did it come about? Yeah. And what are your memories of it?
Well, Alan Parker, he'd cast the main parts. He'd cast Jodie Foster, he'd cast Scott Baio and quite a few of the Americans for the major roles, because I think he thought it'd be difficult to find British kids who can sustain an American accent.
Yeah, that's it.
But he wanted British kids in it because it was a British film. And it was shot in Britain. So he came up to Leeds to meet all these kids who were performers. And we all auditioned for him. And I remember reading the part of Bugsy. And I was sure I'd got it. I was sure I was going to be Bugsy.
Convinced.
Yeah, I went home to my mum and I said, she said, what have you been doing? I said, well, I've been auditioning for this film called Bugsy Malone. She said, is it about a rabbit? I said, well, I don't really know what it is. I said, but it's like a gangster movie, but it's with kids. None of us kind of knew what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't get Bugsy, of course. I played a very, very small part in the film. But quite a few of us were lucky enough to spend some time on set at Pinewood Studios. One of my scenes was done at Richmond Theatre with Bonnie Langford.
Yeah.
I met Jodie Foster, which was amazing at that age. She was so professional. She knew everything about studio lighting, and she just was a pro. You know.
Yeah. How old was she been then?
She was, I think she was 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Maybe 15. I think she'd done a film already. But it was just amazing to watch her in the makeup chair being made, just looking at her script, just really, we were all excited and throwing ourselves around the place. And
naturally.
She was really, really controlled. And it was amazing to meet American kids because I'd never met American kids before. We were all in the hotel. We were watching It's a Knockout.
All right, yeah.
And the British kids were quite enjoying it, but the American kids were going absolutely crazy. Yeah, come on, throw that ball. We were like,
everything's bigger in America, though, and everything's amplified. The volume's turned up, you know.
They were just wild, and on the set they were running around and they were swearing. You know, they were all swearing, and we didn't swear. We were just these really well-behaved kids, or fairly well. So it was an experience. It was going to be a classic. None of us really knew about it. We didn't really understand what he was trying to do. The brilliant Alan Parker. Yeah. And of course, it's gone down in movie history.
It's certainly done that. Yeah, we did a performance of it in school. How old would I have been? Must have been about 11 or 12, I suppose. I was one of the gangsters, Yonkers, right. I believe I was called. Is that one, Yonkers? I think it is. But yeah, we had the splurge guns and everything. It was fantastic. I got to shoot a few people with that in the face. It was great. A classic, to say the least. Yeah,
it is. And it's a great show for kids to do. It really works on
definitely stage. It's brilliant. It is
such a great time. They're all good characters. Even the small parts are great characters, you know.
Yeah. What was your partner? Were you the radio presenter in it, or?
No. So there's a moment when Blousy goes to audition to the theatre because Lena Morelli, who
that's right.
Lena's walked out, so they're replacing Lena Morelli with somebody else. So there are these auditions in the theatre. So I'm Oscar, the producer.
Oscar, I'm back. That one, yeah.
Exactly, that's the scene.
I got you. Right, okay. Oh, yeah. Lena, that was absolutely great. Absolutely fantastic. That's you. Right, okay. Jeez, all these years, I've never realized that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was me. Lena, honey, you came back to me. That's my line. But a lot of it was ad lib. I mean, I remember they just put a big screen up. We didn't even see the acts. And Alan Parker just said, okay, just pretend some dancers have just fallen over. A guy has come on as a ventriloquist. What would you say? Oh, we just ad lib. We just said a few lines, and he kept them in. You know, that's just the way he worked. He just wanted kids who could improvise and who could just go with it, really. You know, and he was great with the kids, Alan. That's what I remember. All the kids loved him. He was a bit like a big kid himself, but they also respected him. He just knew how to direct kids and get the best out of them. He was a genius. He really was.
That's a skill in itself. That is.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, a great guy.
So from there, you moved on into presenting a little later in life, then. Yeah. So what was your first presenting position, shall we say? The first one I remember you on is the Saturday Picture Show, but was there anything before that?
Yeah, there was a little bit before then. So I left school at 16, and I had about a year out of work. And I remember my mum saying to me, "Well, that's it. You've had your bit of fame. You know, you better get a proper job now." But I always knew something would come along. And Yorkshire Television were doing a Saturday morning show, a live television show on ITV. Yeah. And what used to happen in those days, you get Swap Shop on BBC One.
That's right.
But on ITV, all the local areas would go to their different shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And up in Yorkshire, it was this show called Calendar Kids. And I was asked to present it. Me and a great friend of mine called Catherine Apanovich, an actress called Catherine Apanovich. We were the two presenters. And it was really where I learned about proper presenting, the technicalities of presenting.
Yeah.
You know, you'd wear an earpiece, you'd have a director in the gallery, you'd be doing things to time, you'd be counted down, you'd be given a 3-minute interview, all that stuff. Linking to the break on time, all those technical things I learned on that show.
How old did you say you were there, Mark?
I was about 17, 18, yeah, about 17.
What sort of pressure was that for you at that age then?
I found that quite difficult because it was produced by the news program. So in Yorkshire, they had a show called Calendar, and we were Calendar kids. But all the directors and producers and researchers on the show had a news background.
Right. Okay.
So it was quite a newsy show. So I was sort of being like a journalist, really, which was a great experience. But I found it challenging, but I loved it. And brilliant. On that show was a researcher who went to work on a Saturday morning show at the BBC. They decided to do a summer Saturday show.
Right.
And she said to me, "Will you come and audition?" And I walked into BBC Manchester, and Peter Powell, the DJ, or then did, was the main presenter. And there must have been 150 people in the studio, all these local reporters, all trying to get this job because they wanted 2 reporters, 2 other presenters. And I went in just to make the numbers up, really, and I got one of the jobs. I got
fantastic.
Yeah, which was great without thinking about it, really. I just walked in and thought, well, I'm doing my friend a favor by turning up, you know. And we did the first series of that, and that lasted about 5 years. So it started off being called Get Set for Summer. Okay. And then it became the Saturday Picture Show. And Peter left to pursue a career in management, and he became one of the top managers in the industry.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Looking after big names. And we got Maggie Philbin along, and then Cheryl came in, and it was a great time. I loved those years. That was 5 years of my life up in Manchester with all the top bands. All the bands came in, Spandau and Duran Duran. And
wicked. Amazing.
Mant and ABC, they all came on.
Yeah. See, I remember them bands coming on, but back then, I'm in an 80s tribute band now as well, right? We call The Breakfast Club. We do all that, Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, Soft Cell, all those bits and pieces, you know, from back in the day. Back then, I wouldn't have appreciated the music, though. It would have just been more the entertainment. Now, I could still watch it and lap up all the music now, you know, but I feel I missed a trick there, but I've rediscovered it now, so we're all good.
Oh, they were fantastic. I mean, they would arrive in Manchester on late Friday night, you know.
Yeah.
And they didn't really want to come to Manchester unless they were Manchester based. They didn't.
Of course.
And they'd probably been doing a gig the night before, and they'd check into the Britannia Hotel in Manchester where we were all staying. And the parties were legendary. And then they'd have to turn up on set for a sound check at 7:30, 8 o'clock the next morning, because we went live at 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Any sore heads then?
Oh, they were just like but when it came to doing the live show, they were on it because they knew that the audience watching were going to go out that afternoon, hopefully, and buy the CDs, because it was in the,
of course.
Even vinyl actually was still around then in the early 80s. So they turned it on for the show, and then we would have to interview them, you know, and that was quite tricky sometimes.
I can imagine.
Because I was never cool. It was a cool show, but I was never cool. But I did my homework and stuff, and it was just great to meet them all. It was just looking back, that was the biggest thrill, really, because you never knew who was going to be on the show until the Friday before they came on, you know. So it was tremendous.
Brilliant, good times. So we're talking about the music from back then. There was a rendition of yourself and Cheryl, you know where I'm heading now, doing a little part from Greece. What's your memories of this? Cheryl, and I quote, said, Mark was singing the wrong words. Is there any truth in that?
I don't remember that at all. I'll tell you what I do remember. They decided we were going to pre-record it.
Yes, Summer Nights. That's the song. I couldn't remember what it was called then. Summer Nights.
Yeah, Summer Nights. We were going to pre-record it. And then the director said, we're not going to pre-record it. You're going to do it live.
Pressure.
I know. It was a thrill, but it was also a bit scary because we just wanted it to be good. And we rehearsed just a couple of times. You know, we laid a track down, a soundtrack the day before. But Cheryl was just, I mean, she still is. She's just fantastic. You know, she's
great, isn't she?
She's great. She's up for a laugh. She's so musical. She's so talented. You know, she can do harmonies. People don't realize.
Yeah. But she was saying about the harmonies and that she's a harmony singer. We talked about like auditions and everything, and she went in as a harmony singer and all that. And after having the conversation with her, I can pick her out now. You know, when I'm listening to the Fizz or Bucks Fizz and what have you, it's like I've got it. I'm listening to the harmony instead of the lead. If you're with me, you know, it's it's nice. It's nice. No, she's great.
And she'd never done any presenting before. It was a producer called Crispin Evans who had the idea to bring Cheryl in. She'd done a couple of little bits, but he said, "I've got this idea to bring in Cheryl." And I'd been working with Maggie Philby in the previous couple of series, and Maggie, of course, was, you know, by then a really experienced presenter. She was doing Tomorrow's World and stuff.
Yes.
So it was a bit of a gamble bringing Cheryl in, but of course it made sense because Bucks Fizz at that time were big, and she was just such fun. She just did it. I mean, there was no script on the Saturday Picture Show. It was a 2.5 hour, 3 hour show. Yeah. So there was no script. It was just, you know, you read letters and things would happen during the show. Somebody wouldn't turn up or something would go down that we were linking to, and we had to ad-lib, and we just found that we could absolutely trust each other.
That's brilliant.
You know, it just was a chemistry that really worked. We've always said that. We'd love to do more stuff together. We never have worked together, apart from a couple of things. But we just laughed together, you know. And I remember one show, she said to me about halfway through the show, she said, "I won't be here for the end of the show." And I said, "Why? Where are you going? Have you got a gig or something?" She went, "No, I've got a headache coming on," she said, "and it's going to be bad. I can just tell it is." And she used to get migraines. I don't know.
Right, okay.
So she abandoned me halfway through the show.
Oh, no.
So bad. She had to go to her dressing room and just stay there in the dark. And I don't think she left BBC Manchester till late that Saturday night.
Jeez.
But at first I thought she was joking because she was always having a little joke. She's a great joker, you know.
Yeah, little prank.
But she disappeared. And it was just me for like 2 hours.
Did you sail the ship okay though, Mark?
That was all right. It was all right.
Good man. That's what it's all about, eh?
Oh yeah, she's great, Cheryl. She's really terrific. And then she did a thing called from that she got Eggs and Bacon.
I remember that as well. Yeah. Cooking show, bit of music and that as well on there. I think Blur made their television debut on that one, didn't they?
Did they?
I think they did. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I won't take it to the grave. You know,
I believe it.
But I believe so. I'm not 100%, but yeah.
I can believe it because timing-wise, that would work definitely.
Yeah. I think I got that right. Let's talk about Blue Peter. So, how did you end up on Blue Peter? One of the elite. We're amongst one of the elite, ladies and gentlemen. Blue Peter presenter, 86 to 89. Is that correct?
That's right. Right. Yeah. Well, it came from that really, because while I was doing the Saturday Picture Show, I did a series called Screen Test, and then I did something called Treasure Houses, which was a children's history program, brilliantly produced and shot, where I'd go to historic places and tell the story of the houses. And I think that combined with the live experience that I got sort of qualified me to be offered the show. So Simon Groom, who'd been there for 8 years, was leaving, and they didn't want a new presenter. They wanted somebody to join Janet Ellis and Peter Duncan, who was already known to the kids. So, I mean, this was the strange thing. I was doing pantomime with John Noakes.
I'm not going to do it again.
The legendary John Noakes at Manchester. And I got a call from the head of children's programs at the BBC to present Blue Peter.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was ironic that there
Fantastic.
I am, proper with John Noakes at the Palace Theatre in Manchester, and I get offered that job.
That's awesome. How did you feel?
Well, it felt, to be honest, when I got the first call, I was late for the theatre, so I had to say, it was the head of children's programs. I had to say, look, can I talk to you later because I'm on stage?
Oh, no.
Like, hang on a minute. It's just, I said, yeah, I know. I just need to talk to you later because I'm doing a matinee. And I told John, and John had kind of mixed memories about Blue Peter, but I wasn't sure at first, to be honest. Not because I didn't respect the show, because I did. Obviously, I'd watched it as a kid, and I knew the presenters were famous, and I knew that you'd go down the history doing it. But I was having such a great time doing the Saturday morning show on my other bits and bobs that I thought, I don't know if I want to go into this full-time show. And it meant being in London, and I was happy in Yorkshire and Manchester. I was having quite a nice time. So I was unsure, but then everybody around me, everybody I talked to said, you cannot say no to this program because it was just so big. As you know, it was a big
Definitely,
show.
Yeah, 100%. Massive.
Then. So I said yes, and it was great fun. And actually, the person who really convinced me to do it was Sarah Green.
Oh, she's been on as well twice.
Actually,
yeah,
she's been on as well.
Yeah, she's been on twice.
I'm way
she's
down the list, aren't I?
Mate, I've been trying to get you on for ages. You're right up there.
Sarah, I mean, I knew Sarah anyway, but we met at the BBC doing something, and I just thought I'd tell her. So I just whispered to her. I said, "Guess what? I've been offered Blue Peter," and she went, "Oh, do it." She said, "You'll have such a great time. It's such fun."
Yeah.
She said those words.
That's
and
it.
Nobody else had said that. Everybody else had said, "Oh, it'll be good, freak you out." But she said it'd be good fun. And she said, "Just don't stay too long." So you enjoy it. And I thought, what a great way to look at it, you know. And it
Brilliant.
was. I mean, that's what it was. It was great fun for 3.5 years. It was terrific.
Fantastic. That's the key word there from our good friend Sarah Green. Lovely lady.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she was one of the best Blue Peter presenters, you know. She was great with the kids. She's such a pro, such a terrific presenter. And it was just great to join Janet Ellis, Peter Duncan, who I already knew. And then Peter left and the gorgeous Karen Keating came in, who's sadly no longer with us. And Beck came along, Fielding came along, and, you know, and it was the first time they'd had that 2 girls and 1 guy combination, which I loved. I loved being with the girls. I really did.
That's it. The banter.
Yeah, it was just great.
The little gang ups.
Yeah, it was just terrific. And the 3 of us were solid. You know, we were really great mates, and we stuck up for each other. And you know, I'm still great friends with Yvette. And I always get sad talking about Blue Peter and Karen's not around, because she was just such a great person, a wonderful person, and great fun. And we would have been friends for life, you know. But
definitely.
There you go. Go.
God bless her.
Yeah.
So following Blue Peter, what was next for you after that? You've so you did a bit on Record Breakers as well, did you not? Was that much later on, or? I left Blue Peter, and the thing is, I always wanted to act as well, and I'd done a couple of years in rep before the presenting, and actually during Blue Peter, I was offered Billy Liar. I was offered the chance to go on tour and play Billy Liar. Oh, awesome!
And I went and did it. I didn't go on the summer expedition, which Karen could never understand. She said, "You're not. We're going to California." I said, "Well, I'm going to Darlington and Manchester, Liverpool, and all these."
Well, why?
Because.
Or why not?
I'll never get a chance to play Billy Liar. I'm only being asked to do Billy Liar because I'm on telly. I'm an actor, and I thought I'll grab it, and I went and did it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I just wanted to do it. So when Blue Peter finished, and they offered me another Saturday morning show to do at the BBC, I turned it down, and I said no.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. What was that? Do you want to say or not?
It was it the 8:15? I think it was the 8:15 from Manchester.
Right. Okay.
I think it was a thing called the 8:15 from Manchester.
Yeah.
So I said no to that, and everybody thought I was crazy. But I just said, well, no, because I'll never get a chance to do all this lovely theatre that I'm being offered, and I wanted to do it. You know,
no, that's fair enough. You know, you've got to look at what's right for you at the end of the day, don't you? You know?
Yeah, and I just thought, well, you've done the best and the most well-known programme in kids' telly, so why go and do something that isn't as well watched and well known? It just didn't seem like the right move.
That's it. You've been to the top. You've pinnacled. Fantastic. No, there's a lot to be said from that as well. Blue Peter's legendary. It is absolutely legendary. I remember fighting kids in the yard for that badge, you know, back in the day. Yeah, we all wanted one, you know, and none of us could afford stamps.
Well, exactly, yeah. I underestimated how big it was, to be honest. I didn't realise until I joined it. You know, doors would open, you could go anywhere, and they would welcome you for filming, or for, you know, you got permission to do anything because of that program. You know, it was so well loved and well watched, and I know it still is around. It's just a shame in a way that it hasn't got the cross section of audience that we had, because at that time, 5:15 to 6:15 or 4:30, whenever it was, you get such a great cross section of people watching. They might only be switching on to watch the news, you know, and they'll catch our last 5 minutes.
Yeah, nonetheless, you know.
But they knew us. We were well known by everybody, by older people, the kids, obviously. So it was a big gig. It was a big gig.
Yeah. I think now part of the problem now is there's, like, I don't know, on your digital package or your Sky package or whatever, there's like 900 channels of utter tripe, and there's too much choice. People are channel hopping everywhere, or there's a lot of stuff online as well, streaming sites and all that. Back then, it was like, right, you're either watching, basically at that point of the day, you're either watching ITV or BBC One. Take your pick, you know? And everyone would head to Blue Peter pretty much then, you know? So it was a massive
family
audience.
show. There was everything, the ingredients of that show. I mean, yes, it was for kids, but there was everything in there that you would enjoy watching. You know, it's fun to see how a birthday card is made. Yeah. And it's great to see a presenter hanging from the hands of Big Ben or being strapped to a windmill. Like that's, I mean, really, when you look at the one show is just almost a grown-up Blue Peter. Really.
Yeah,
I mean,
a youth version, Blue Peter Youth.
It is, I mean, they don't make anything on the one show, but they go and tell a history story, or they've got a band in the studio, and we were just doing. And as a presenter, you were doing everything that you would ever be required to do as a presenter. It was a live show. You were learning your scripts in those days as well. You were doing your interviews. You were researching. You were filming. You were doing all the action stuff. You know, you were required to do so much as a presenter. It's probably the best job in telly, definitely, as a presenter. You know, wonderful job. Great job to do.
Definitely. Fantastic.
But probably when you're younger, it's better, you know. And I think that's...
Yeah. I think everyone that's worked on there, everyone I've spoken to that's worked on there, everyone I've seen speaking about it, have always had good things to say and positive experiences from the show, and they've all moved on to other things as well, you know, which is fantastic. So revolutionary.
It's a great launch pad. It's
brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So in the 90s then, so you did a bit more acting. You popped up on our screens in a few that I recall. There was cameos in London's Burning. Yeah. What part did you play in that?
London's Burning. I think so long ago. I think I was a game show host. And and the set started to burn down.
Right. Fantastic. Never happened to you in real life, though.
To do on London's Burning. I did Bread.
That's right, Bread. Bread was brilliant. Grandad was awesome. Good. Where's my pudding?
Bread was great. Bread was amazing. Just
fantastic.
One part, really funny part. And I did Record Breakers because Roy Castle was quite ill.
Yeah, again, God bless him.
Yeah, and the BBC phoned and said, look, you know, can you just step in? You're not being Roy Castle because he was so well loved, you know, but you're just helping out because they needed another presenter. So it was Cheryl and me and what's his name? The athlete. What's his name?
Chris Axelroosie. Yes.
So I did that. And actually what was interesting about that was that I was in the West End at that time doing Woman in Black, a really dramatic play.
Yeah.
And then I had to go and do Record Breakers by day, you know. So I spent the day with these people breaking the most ridiculous records. I mean, I remember one guy, he spent like the entire day just heading a ball. And by the end of the day, he had this massive carbuncle on his head, you know, where he'd just been doing this. And then at night, he'd have to go on stage and do this dramatic part. I just
totally one extreme to the other, like total polar opposites.
Absolutely incredible. And Cheryl and I had to learn the last 32 bars of Riverdance. Did she tell you about that?
No, we didn't talk about that. No, let's talk about that.
Well, we broke the record, don't know whether it still stands, for, I think it was the greatest number of Irish dancers in one place.
Oh, wow.
And it was in a massive studio at the BBC. So we performed Riverdance, but we did the last, I think it's the last 32 bars or something. But we had to learn the steps.
Oh, correct. You
actually learned the steps. And when we went to see the show, which was fantastic. And then they said to us, right, that's what you've got to learn.
Oh, God.
Me and the show were like, what are you talking about? And I had to go home and I had to do it at home, and I had a flat in London. And I remember putting about 7 pairs of socks on so that I didn't make a noise as I was kind of stomping around my flat. So the neighbours didn't get upset.
Padded your feet out proper, good and proper.
Yeah. And then we did it. We did it in the studio, and we broke the record.
Brilliant. How many people was it? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. Cheryl. And maybe it's broken now, but I mean, every record on Record Breakers, it was always broken, wasn't it? So
yeah, that was brilliant. What a great show as well. We did talk a bit about Record Breakers, Cheryl and I, when she was on. There's nothing like that on anymore, you know. There's, to my knowledge, anyway. If there is, guide me in the right direction. There's kids' television now compared to what it was. I'm sorry, and it's not just because I'm 43, right? Because I like to look back on kids' TV from back in the day, and I have fond memories of it. But now, I don't know. It's not the same. What's missing?
I don't know really. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I haven't got kids, so I don't watch kids' telly. But when I've seen a little bit of Blue Peter, because a couple of times I'll be doing like a pointless or something, and I think, well, I better watch because there might be a couple of new presenters who I haven't seen. And when I've seen it, the presenters are still so good, but it's all so fast and so kind of, nothing seems to, it's like they're saying that kids' attention span isn't longer than 5 seconds. Well, I don't believe that. I think if it's interesting, kids will really enjoy it. But, when we did a story, we would just go and we would tell the story of, I don't know, Queen Victoria or wherever it might be. And we'd just tell the story and it was interesting. But now they've got to have straps going in and numbers coming in and arrows. Like the kids are not capable of watching. And I just think, what's all that about? But maybe that's because...
maybe. I think keep it simple, keep it simple for success is what I say. Things can get too busy and too flashy sometimes, and there's too much to concentrate on, and you're missing the main picture or the main point then,
Yeah, I mean, I used to think that, Jack and Nori was a fantastic show because it was brilliant. Just telling, and every kid loves a story.
Definitely.
If you get a good story, you can sit with the child and you can tell, I do that with my godchildren. I've done that in the past, and I've got a little granddaughter, and she's 4 years, and she loves the story. And if you tell it well and it's a great story, you don't need all the visuals. You just need a good story, and they listen. So I think a little bit of simplifying might be a good.
That's it. And now you are doing it with me. I'm hooked. I'm listening.
You haven't dropped off yet, have you?
No. I'm having a great time. Fantastic.
The pills are working.
This it is. I won't tell you what's in it.
Well, it's working.
It's just an empty cup. It's just for show, really.
All right, great.
Fantastic. So we've talked about your early career. We touched a little bit on the now, but what have you been up to recently then?
So just kept on working really, and as I say, lots of theatre. I did Wicked in London a couple of years ago, which was just tremendous to be back in the West End, and is such
fantastic.
I originally signed for 6 months to play the Wizard, but then the 10th anniversary was coming up, so they said, "Will you stay? But you've got to stay for another year if you do that." And I'm so pleased I did, because it was just unbelievable.
You did it, did you? Yeah, for another year after.
I did it.
Fantastic.
I did 17 months in total. And, 2,000 people every single night, packed out, standing ovations. I mean, not for me, but for the show.
Well, you're a part of the show, so, it's first for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, really, it spoils you for everything else, because I remember saying to other people in the show, make the most of this, because you'll probably never be in a show where every single night 2,000 people stand up. I mean, sometimes you're in a show where occasionally they'll stand up, but there, the feeling, the story, that everybody relates to that fantastic story of those two girls, and the songs and the script and the visuals in it, the costume, the whole spectacle, the lighting, everything is brilliant. So that was just magical to be part of that. I was so lucky to be a part of it. So that was great. And just carrying on working, Caiman. I mean, I just love it still. I'm very happy to do stuff if it's the right thing, and I just want to keep on going. I've never lost my enthusiasm for it at all. I still get excited about it. And
good. That comes across as well. That comes across.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, because it's genuine. I just love the business, and even though it's changed, I still think it's great. I'd love to do more presenting, but I think where it's changed now in television is that it seems to be that they only want experts sometimes to present something.
Yeah.
Whereas it doesn't always work. Just because somebody's an expert at something doesn't mean to say they're a good broadcaster.
That's it. Yeah.
Whereas when I was presenting more, it was, well, let's get a good presenter to tell this story.
That's it. Yeah. Someone with a bit of something about them, a bit of substance, a bit of charisma.
Just somebody who can do it. Somebody like Baker. I think Matt Baker is just fantastic. The way he's progressed from Blue Peter and doing all this stuff, because he's genuine, he's enthusiastic, he's a wonderful broadcaster. You know, he knows his stuff. And there's somebody you could give any subject to, and he would turn it into a great watch. And I think those of us who've been around a long time are able to do that. But you know, if it's a program about, I don't know, houses or something, they'll get a builder, or they'll get an estate agent to do it rather than
yeah.
Sometimes. So that's changed a bit. But you know, and I'd like to do more television acting. That would be great. Do a bit of Emmerdale or something would be wonderful. So.
Oh, excellent! Yeah. So what's the pub in Emmerdale? The Woolpack.
Yeah, the Woolpack.
Yeah, I'd love to go for a pint in the Woolpack.
Oh, I mean, because that's my area. You know, that's
yeah.
And all my family's still up there, so I'd love to do a little bit on that. So you know.
So if you went to Emmerdale, and who would you hang out with? Do you reckon? Who would you bond with?
The Dingles.
Yeah, me too, man. Fantastic.
Any dingle, just any dingle would be good for me.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Fantastic. Yeah, great. I reckon me and Mandy could have a good swig, you know.
Oh, fantastic. Just go in and stir it up. And, you know, when I watch it occasionally, I just think, oh, it's terrific, you know. Oh, Coronation. I mean, they all are. They work so hard on those programs.
They do.
I did Hollyoaks a couple of years ago. I did about five episodes in Hollyoaks. And
yeah.
Wow, you realise just how difficult it is. You know, you don't get a chance to really rehearse it. You've got to learn your lines. You go on the set.
Well, that's it. It's all in with current affairs as well, isn't it? You know, so it's like what's going on in the world today. Yeah. They need to know yesterday, really, don't they? You know, as they're going along with real time. You know.
Yeah, and also you create your character. You know, you're brought into the show, and you're given a name, and you're given an outline of what the character is. But then it's really up to you to make it work. And if it works, then you'll be in for a long time. If it doesn't work, and you've got no idea if it works or not, you've just got, it is up to the actor, because you're not really directed in those programs. It's up to the individual person to make it work.
Put their own stamp on it.
So they're really skilled performers, and the ability to learn lines very quickly and change things and cut things, you know, they work so hard on those soaps. So it's quite a challenge, really, doing stuff like that.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, hopefully I'll see you in one of the pubs, in the Rover's Return, the Queen Vic, the Woolpack, or whichever it may be. Maybe I'll see you for a pint in one of them. You never know.
I'll be there.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Well, before I let you go, then, is there anything else you want to plug? Any shout outs, any acknowledgements, anything at all? Or
no? Not really, no, because I'm just relaxed since I've just finished. No, I mean, it's, as I say, it's just great to be still doing it. You know, that's what I want to get across, really, that this business, you know, even though you get older, new things come along the whole time. You know, you're ready for parts at 60. I just turned 60 a couple of months ago.
Hey, happy birthday for a couple of months ago.
Thank you very much.
Big one.
It was a big one. It was a big one. It was a good party. You're right for stuff now that you weren't right for 10 years ago. You know, every brings on something else. So you just have to keep going.
That's the way. Top man. Excellent stuff. Well, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on and having a chat to you and having a giggle with you. Touching on some things of the past through to the current day. All the very best to you. Good luck for everything in the future. And hopefully I'll see you in the Woolpack for that pint sometime.
Cheers, Caiman. Thank you.
Top man. Mark Curry on the Caiman Show, everybody. Woohoo!